Good morning, everybody. It is a little bit before 7 a.m. here on a Sunday in Chicago. We've got perfect long run conditions today. 40 degrees, a little bit overcast, and not the tiniest bit of wind. So today, we're going to go for the last long run of this marathon training block, 18 miles. First 10 miles, we're going to be at a little bit faster than easy, like an easy plus, about a minute and change slower than my marathon pace. Last 8 miles, bring it in at marathon pace. Let's go.
take my hand, and we don't need to do the things we don't want to do.
Alright guys, just hit the turnaround, 9 miles in. In a mile, I'll start the second half of the workout, which is 8 miles at marathon effort. Before that, I'll take a gel, sip a little bit more of my fluids, and then we're gonna go. .0 miles, 7 minutes, 17 seconds per mile, and 155 beats per minute today on my last long run for my build up to CIM coming up in just 2 weeks from today, or I guess 2 weeks from yesterday by the time you guys get to see this video on YouTube. Today's workout was a run of 2 parts, 10 miles at a steady pace, a little bit harder than kind of like my easy everyday pace. So today's pace was right around, or the goal was to get it right around like 7:55 per mile, and then do that for the first 10 miles of the run, and then finish with 8 miles at marathon pace, which was hopefully going to be somewhere around 6 minutes and 50 seconds per mile. I ended up with 10 miles at 7:43 per mile, and the 8 mile work phase of this run coming in at 6 minutes and 43 seconds per mile. Although I will admit, I definitely was pushing at certain points a little bit harder than I would for a marathon. I was just feeling really good out there today. I had perfect running conditions, but today I wanted to talk about kind of some of the last minute feelings, thoughts, preparations as I go into CIM. First, let's talk about the shoes. Today I ran in the New Balance RC Elite version 2. It's a shoe that I've run 20-mile runs in before. I did a 20-miler in them leading up to the Chicago Marathon earlier this year. But it's not as exciting as a shoe that I thought was going to be my marathon shoe for CIM, which is the Adidas Adios Pro. Last week I did a 22-mile run in it, and it started giving me some problems in the pads of the feet on the right side. It really just felt like something was either poking me, or it felt like it was just not right underneath the pads of the foot, and I got some foot pain from miles like 9 through like 14 of that 22-mile run. So I thought I'd give the RC Elite 2 a try, and I think after today I really enjoyed running in it. Even as I got deep into this run, I had to kind of like dig a little bit to be able to hold those marathon paces, and it didn't give me any foot pain. So I'm definitely going to be going with the RC Elites 2. Now, in terms of the last week, like I guess 3 weeks out from the marathon, last Sunday's workout was that 22-mile long run in the Adios Pro 2. That was a pretty intense workout. 4 times 4 miles at marathon pace and 1 mile float at that steady pace, kind of like what I was running today. And then another 2 miles at the end to get me to 22 miles. So a total of 18 miles at marathon pace. That was a hard workout. And then Wednesday, I did a 5K time trial for the A6 Checkered relay that I was doing on the ShoeTuber team. That ended up being a PR for me. In the 5K, yes, it's unofficial because it's not chip timed. And so like, you know, those extra little bits that you might end up running when you're on an actual road course versus when you're like timing it on your GPS watch don't get taken into account. And it was pretty close. My previous PR I hit earlier this year at 1905. So 1902 is pretty much the same pace, but to be able to hit that like a couple of days or 3 or 4 days after a 22-mile hard workout, I felt like it's a really good indicator of my current level of fitness. And then Friday, 2 days after the 5K, I did my second leg of the Checkered relay, which was a 10K. That one wasn't quite near a PR for me. My PR for the 10K, and I haven't run an official 10K in a long time, but I did a time trial early in the year, like in the spring, that put me right at 40 minutes. And so this 10K I came in at, well, I had hit the watch at 40 minutes and 52 seconds. And then after I saved the activity, ASICS or the Runkeeper app did an adjustment to make it 41:06. Either way, I'm right around at 41, so a minute slower than my PR. But to then hit that in the same week as that long run and a 5K PR, and then 2 days later doing that 10K, again, feeling like I'm getting a lot of work in, feeling really good about the numbers I'm putting out. And that put me into Sunday, 2 days after the 10K, is doing this long run and able to hit the marathon paces, which, to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hit them all today. The whole workout, like leading up, like the first 10 miles, I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I can get to 6 marathon miles, maybe if I get to 4, or maybe even just 3 marathon miles, that'll be good. And then I can run steady miles the rest of the way. I was constantly negotiating, but kind of once I got going, you know, everything felt really good. I mean, it didn't feel good. I felt like I was working, but nothing felt wrong. And so I was like, all right, I can do this workout. So feeling good about the last week. Hopefully I'm not overcooking myself with 2 weeks left, but I feel like I've done a really long taper before. It just drove me crazy, and I don't feel like it really helped me all that much. So I felt like I could squeeze in one more workout and still have enough time to recover for the marathon in 2 weeks. And I feel like, you know, hitting the workouts that I did this week, I feel like I really made a breakthrough. I'm feeling really proud of myself for it. And I think it's because not only was this just a buildup between Chicago and CIM, I think even before Chicago in August, end of August, basically September, I had my first triathlon that I did. So that was, even just building up to Chicago was an awkward build. And there, the main thing that I worked on was a lot of threshold pace and 5K pace repetitions. And so I was kind of thinking all along that the build was always going to be basically from the Chicago Triathlon to CIM with a marathon kind of tucked in there somewhere as kind of like an over distance workout. And I think that's working out for me. I'm not going to recommend that a lot of people do that and have this kind of awkward training schedule, but I feel like I've kind of figured out a way to move along in a plan that is what I would have written if I had kind of like 12 to 14 uninterrupted weeks to be able to train. And so as part of that, you know, earlier in that marathon block, I had threshold work and 5K efforts, and then later it became threshold work and marathon pace efforts. But the whole time I'm working a lot on threshold paces, that 6x6 mile workout that I like to do with the 1 minute rests. I feel like that was like a weekly occurrence for me. It was the bread and butter of this marathon training block. And I felt like it really helped me to build confidence that I could hold a faster than marathon pace for a long time, even on those short rests. But also I feel like it helped build a lot of strength. So kind of like pound for pound or like stride for stride, I'm getting more out of each stride. So I feel like I'm a stronger runner, I'm a faster runner, more powerful. And it's showing up in the way that I'm able to keep and hold on to these marathon paces for a long time without my body freaking out. So for example, looking at the numbers in Polar Flow for today's workout, or can look at them on Strava as well. That's another way, because the workout was pretty straightforward. You know, in those marathon pace miles, I'm able to hit them at about 200, and I think I averaged 271 watts for that 8-mile block. And that's right around where I think I need to be for my marathon effort. I think Stride has me at somewhere between 265 or 270 in terms of where I need to be to run a marathon. And so I think that'll get me right around where my goal is in terms of getting under 3 hours. And the heart rate for miles, 11 through 18, we're right around 165 beats per minute, which for me is like squarely right in that marathon range. Once I get into kind of like the 170s, there I'm starting to touch the lower end of my threshold, or where my heart rate goes when I'm in threshold repetitions. So I feel like I'm staying underneath that kind of like red line area, and I'm right in the meat of that marathon pace for both power and heart rate in a way that corresponds with the time that I've been hoping for. So overall, feeling really good about all of the numbers for today, feeling really good about my buildup, as awkward and kind of haphazard as it has been. I feel like I've gotten in the workouts that I need to get in. The something is in the someplace, as they say. So now I just have to taper, stay sharp. I'm not gonna fully hit the brakes and just like put my feet up and rest for 2 weeks. But definitely going to be keeping an eye to making sure that, diet is right, sleeping is right, getting everything kind of replenished, recharged, but also maintaining that sharp edge of kind of that intensity, so that way my body is ready to get out there again and perform. So that's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. Mastering the taper is kind of still like a dark art for me. I just don't understand it, but hopefully we'll kind of get it figured out. I like the way that I tapered for Chicago, and that meant doing like a couple of mini workouts. I think I did 3 mini workouts in that 2-week taper. So I think I'm probably going to do something pretty similar to that for this taper here. And then, I'm not sure what the weather's going to be like for Sacramento, but it usually is pretty nice, pretty favorable. It's a net downhill course. There's some uphills as well, some rollers, but I think that's going to be really good for me overall. So I feel like, I'm in a good position right now. I'm feeling very confident about it. And I don't think I've ever felt this confident going into a marathon before. So feeling really good about that. Also kind of worried that I'm feeling so confident, but that's just insecurity talking. Stay tuned, guys. This week, next week, I'll be doing a lot of content around what I'm doing for the taper, but also next week I'm going to the running event. So it is going to kind of be a crazy week, not ideal for a taper, but probably also a really good way to take my mind off of the taper. So there'll be a lot of fun content coming up between now and the marathon. And then also, stay tuned to see if I can finally hit that goal. Not that I've been chasing it that long, but if I can hit that goal of breaking that 3-hour mark, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be exciting either way. Of course, I'll bring the camera along for the entire journey. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs. And I will see you guys in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?